Software engineers are being replaced, not by AI, by other software engineers using AI. The shift isn't coming, it already happened, and most developers don't see it yet. You have likely felt the change in the air. Maybe your recent job applications are vanishing into a black hole. Maybe you have noticed that senior roles suddenly demand experience with LLM orchestration or RAG pipelines. Skills that didn't even exist on job descriptions 2 years ago. This is not just a tough market, it is a fundamental restructuring of what it means to be a developer. Picture a graph with two lines. The bottom line represents the traditional software engineer, someone who takes a ticket, writes code, and pushes a commit. That line is flattening. In some sectors, it is already declining. Now look at the top line. This is the AI-Augmented engineer. They are not just writing code. They are architecting systems where AI does the heavy lifting. That line is vertical. The salary gap between these two professionals is currently over $100,000. And the scary part is that they often sit at the same desk with the same job title at the same company. The danger isn't that robots will take your job tomorrow. The danger is that you are becoming expensive and slow compared to your competition without realizing it. If you are still measuring your productivity by lines of code, you are playing a game that is already over. But you can cross that gap. In this video, I am going to walk you through the reality of the 2026 job market. We will ignore the hype and look at the raw data. You will understand the 3 specific pivots you need to make to move from the bottom line to the top line. This is not about learning to use a chatbot, it is about saving your career. Let's look at the numbers that companies aren't putting in their press releases. If you analyze hiring trends across major tech hubs over the last 12 months, a silent crisis emerges. It is not that software engineering jobs are disappearing entirely, it is that the floor is falling out. Entry-level and mid-level roles, the positions that used to be the safe harbor for anyone who could write clean Java or Python, are vanishing. Some data suggests a 40 to 60% reduction in listings for junior developer roles in specific sectors. Why is this happening? It is not because companies stopped building software, it is because the economic value of syntax has collapsed. For decades, the barrier to entry in this industry was the ability to translate human logic into machine syntax. If you knew how to write the loop, fix the syntax error, and manage the database connection, you were valuable. You were a translator. But today, AI models are the world's best translators. The cost of generating syntactically correct code has dropped to near zero. This creates a terrifying reality for the traditional software engineer we talked about. If your primary value to a company is taking a Jira ticket, writing the required functions, and pushing it to QA, you are effectively doing work that is now considered a commodity. You are competing against an intelligence that doesn't sleep, doesn't make syntax errors, and costs fractions of a cent per 1,000 tokens. Consider the daily routine of 2 engineers to understand this divergence. Engineer A is the traditional developer. They spend 4 hours a day writing boilerplate code, 2 hours debugging a typo, and 2 hours in meetings. They measure their productivity by lines of code written or tickets closed. They feel productive, but to the business, they are a bottleneck. They are slow. Now look at Engineer B, the AI-augmented professional. They don't write boilerplate. They generate it instantly. They don't spend hours debugging syntax. They paste the error into an LLM and get the solution in seconds. They spend their time on architecture, system design, and solving actual business problems. Engineer B is doing the work of 3 Engineer A's. Here is the brutal consequence that no one likes to talk about. Companies are realizing they don't need to hire 10 juniors to groom into seniors anymore. They can hire 2 AI-augmented seniors and an army of agents. This is the senior-only workforce theory, and we are seeing it play out in real time. The ladder is being pulled up. If you are currently a junior or mid-level developer, you are standing on a rung that is being sawed off. This shift impacts your earning potential immediately. We are seeing a bifurcation in salaries. The maintenance developers, those keeping the lights on for legacy systems without using AI tools, are seeing their wages stagnate. Inflation is eating their raises. Meanwhile, the builders, those using AI to ship products at incredible speeds, are seeing massive compensation jumps because they are directly tied to revenue. The danger zone is comfortable. You might be in a job right now where no one is pushing you to use AI. Your manager hasn't mentioned it, you feel safe. But this is a false sense of security. The industry standard for speed is shifting underneath your feet. A feature that used to take a sprint to build is now expected in 2 days. If you are the only one on the team still estimating 2 weeks for a 2 day task, you become a liability. You might be thinking, I'll just wait until the tools get better, or I'll learn it when my boss tells me to. That is the most dangerous career decision you can make in 2026. By the time it becomes a mandate, the roles will already be filled by the people who adapted early. The gap we visualized earlier isn't static. It is widening every single day. The problem is clear. The model of the ticket taking software engineer is dead, but the opportunity for the product building engineer has never been greater. The question is no longer, can you code? It is, what can you build and how fast can you build it? To survive this transition, you need to fundamentally change how you view your role in the tech ecosystem. You need to stop being a translator and start being an architect. The solution isn't to work harder. It isn't to memorize more leet code patterns or to type faster. In fact, trying to outcode the AI is exactly how you lose this game. The path to safety and to that massive salary premium lies in a fundamental shift in how you define your value. We call this the AI native framework. To understand this framework, I want you to visualize a simple pyramid divided into 3 horizontal layers. This pyramid represents your daily work and your value to a company. For the last 10 years, the traditional software engineer's pyramid had a massive bottom layer. This foundation was syntax and implementation. It was the grunt work, writing boilerplate, fixing CSS centering, debugging API connections, and remembering the specific arguments for a library function. This took up 80% of your time and mental energy. The middle layer was system design, and the tiny peak at the top was business logic. You spent most of your life in the mud of syntax, occasionally looking up to see the bigger picture. The AI native framework flips this pyramid completely upside down. In this new model, that heavy bottom layer of syntax and implementation is crushed down to a thin, automated foundation. You don't lay the bricks anymore. You supervise the robots laying the bricks. The AI handles the syntax. It handles the boilerplate. It handles the unit tests. This frees up massive space for the new middle layer, orchestration and architecture. This is where the money is right now. This isn't about writing code. It's about knowing how to chain different AI models together, how to manage context, and how to design systems where data flows intelligently between services. And finally, the top layer, the peak, expands to become the most critical part of your job, product judgment. When coding becomes cheap, deciding what to code becomes expensive. Your value shifts from, how do I build this? To, should we build this, and how does it serve the user? This framework is your path to relief because it gives you permission to stop stressing about the wrong things. You do not need to be a machine learning researcher. You do not need a PhD in mathematics. You do not need to understand how to calculate gradient descent or backpropagation. That is the model builder's job. Your job is to be the model user. Think of it like the difference between a mechanic and a race car driver. A mechanic needs to know how to assemble the engine part by part. A driver needs to know how to push that engine to its limit to win the race. The traditional path told you to be the mechanic. The AI native path invites you to be the driver. Before we break down the 3 specific skills you need to master this framework, I want to make sure you don't miss the deep dives we have coming up. We are going to be building real RAG pipelines and agentic workflows on this channel. So if you want to stay on the vertical line of that graph, make sure you are subscribed. You do not want to miss the practical tutorials coming next. Now let's break down the first specific skill you need to master, the AI-first workflow. This corresponds to the bottom layer of our pyramid, the implementation layer. Most developers treat AI coding assistants like glorified autocomplete. They type a few lines of code, pause, and hope the ghost text finishes their thought. That is the amateur way to use these tools. The professional way is to treat the AI as a junior developer who needs a precise specification. This skill is often called context engineering. Imagine you are a senior architect handing off a task to a new hire. If you just walk by their desk and say, build a login page, you are going to get a generic, useless result. But if you hand them a folder containing the database schema, the brand color palette, the authentication requirements, and the error handling protocols, they will build exactly what you need. In the AI era, your IDE is that new hire. Your skill is no longer remembering how to write the login function. Your skill is assembling that folder of context. Visualize a diagram of your coding environment. In the center is your chat window. Surrounding it are three buckets of information: your current file, your documentation, and your code base. The AI first developer knows exactly which pieces of information to drag from those buckets into the center to get the perfect output. They don't just ask, fix this error. They paste the error, the relevant function, and the data structure it relies on. This shifts your mental energy from recall, remembering syntax, to assembly, gathering context. When you master this, you stop writing code and start reviewing code. You become a code reviewer for a machine that types at lightning speed. This is the first pivot, moving from writer to reviewer. Now, let's move up the pyramid to the second and most lucrative skill, LLM orchestration. This is the middle layer, architecture. This is where the job market is exploding. Companies are desperate for engineers who understand how to build applications powered by AI, not just applications that use AI to write code. This means understanding concepts like RAG, retrieval augmented generation. Let's demystify RAG right now because it sounds technical, but conceptually it is simple. Imagine a very smart professor who has read every book in the world up until 2023. That is the large language model. Now imagine you ask this professor a question about a company policy that was written this morning. The professor doesn't know the answer because they haven't read it. They might guess or hallucinate, which is dangerous. To fix this, you hire a librarian. When you ask a question, the librarian runs to the filing cabinet, finds the specific document from this morning, and hands it to the professor along with your question. The librarian says, "Professor, use this document to answer the user's question." Now, the professor answers perfectly. In this analogy, you are the architect designing the library. You are building the system that decides which document the librarian grabs. This is orchestration. You don't need to know how to build the professor's brain. That is OpenAI's job. You need to know how to build the filing cabinet. That is the vector database. And how to train the librarian to find the right file. That is the retrieval logic. Visualizing this system is key. Picture three boxes connected by arrows. Box 1 is the user input. Box 2 is your knowledge base, your company's data. Box 3 is the AI model. Your job is to build the pipes that connect these boxes. You need to understand how to turn text into numbers, called embeddings, so the computer can find similar meanings. Engineers who can build these pipelines are commanding the highest salaries in the market right now, because every company, from law firms to hospitals, wants to chat with their own data. They don't need a better sorting algorithm, they need a better librarian. If you are finding this breakdown helpful, hit the like button. It helps us know that you want more content on system architecture and less on basic syntax tutorials. Finally, we reach the top of the pyramid: product judgment and problem decomposition. This sounds like a soft skill, but in an AI world, it is the hardest skill of all. When the cost of building software drops to zero, the cost of building the wrong software becomes the primary risk. In the old world, if a product manager asked for a complex feature, you might say, that will take 3 weeks, and they might scrap it. The cost of implementation acted as a filter for bad ideas. In the new world, you can prototype that feature in an afternoon. The filter is gone. This means you must become the filter. The AI-augmented engineer doesn't just ask, how do I build this? They look at a business problem and break it down into atomic units that AI can handle. This is called decomposition. Think of a complex request, like build a system that automatically refunds unhappy customers. A junior developer tries to write one giant prompt to do it all. It fails. The expert decomposes it into a flowchart of small, reliable steps. Step 1. Analyze the customer's email sentiment. Is it angry? Step 2. Check the database. Is the purchase under $50? Step 3. If yes to both, trigger the refund API. Step 4. Draft a polite email reply. You are designing a flowchart of logic where AI is just one component. You are not just a coder, you are a systems thinker. You are deciding where human approval is needed and where the machine can run autonomous. This is why the senior only workforce is emerging. Companies need people who understand the business implications of that flowchart. They need people who know that automatically refunding everyone might bankrupt the company, even if the code works perfectly. So, how do you actually learn these three skills? You might be feeling overwhelmed, thinking you need to go back to university. You don't. The beauty of this transition is that the barrier to entry for learning is lower than it has ever been. For the first skill, the AI first workflow, the practice is immediate. Stop writing boilerplate code today. Force yourself to use your AI assistant for everything. If the output is wrong, don't fix it manually. Ask yourself, what context did I fail to provide? And try again. Iterate on your prompting until the output is perfect. You are training your ability to delegate. For the second skill, orchestration, you need to build one specific project. Do not just watch tutorials, build a chat with your PDF app. It is the hello world of AI engineering. It forces you to touch every part of the stack. The database, the embeddings, and the LLM API. You will see exactly how the librarian finds the book. For the third skill, product judgment, start asking why before you ask how. Look at the tickets in your backlog and try to map them to business value. If you can't see the connection, ask your product manager. Understanding the business model is what protects you when the coding becomes automated. However, accepting this promotion is not as simple as buying a subscription to a coding assistant. We have observed that engineers attempting this transition often fall into three distinct traps. These are the specific obstacles that derail careers in 2026, and you need to navigate them carefully. The first trap is the tool treadmill. Every week, a new AI framework, a new vector database, or a new agentic library is released. It is tempting to try and learn them all, but this is a mistake. The engineers who get hired are not the ones who have touched 50 different tools. They are the ones who have mastered the underlying patterns using just one stack. A deep understanding of how to manage context windows in Python is infinitely more valuable than a shallow knowledge of 10 different agent frameworks. Pick one stack. Perhaps Python, a standard LLM API, and one vector database, and build something complex with it. The concepts you learn will transfer to any tool the industry invents next month. The second trap is the happy path fallacy. AI is incredible at writing code that works for the standard use case. It is terrible at handling edge cases, security vulnerabilities, and weird user inputs. Many junior AI engineers build a demo that works once and think they are done. They are not. The difference between a hobbyist and a professional is the evaluation phase. The professional spends 80% of their time building guardrails, testing for hallucinations, and ensuring reliability. If you want to impress a hiring manager, do not just show them a chatbot that works. Show them how you design the system to handle it when the chatbot fails. The third trap is hiding the AI. In the past, using a tool to write your code was seen as cheating. You might feel the urge to hide your usage of ChatGPT from your team or your boss, pretending you wrote every line yourself. In 2026, this is backward. Employers want to know that you are using these tools. Hiding them makes you look slow. Instead of concealing your workflow, document it. Show your manager how you used an agentic workflow to cut a 3-day task down to 3 hours. Transparency about your AI leverage is now a signal of competence, not incompetence. So, how do you package this new identity for the job market? How do you rewrite a resume that was designed for the old world? Visualize your current resume. It likely has a section at the top titled Skills, listing languages like Java, Python, or React. It probably has bullet points saying built X feature or refactored Y code. To compete for the AI augmented roles, this document needs a fundamental restructure. First, your skills section needs to elevate above syntax. While you should still list languages, you must add a category for AI operations. This should include terms like RAG pipeline design, LLM evaluation, and prompt engineering. These keywords are the signal to recruiters that you have moved up the pyramid. Second, your project portfolio needs to demonstrate system thinking, not just code writing. A Totalist app or a weather widget does not cut it anymore. Those are commodities. You need to build and showcase a project that transforms unstructured data into structured insight. For example, build a tool that takes a YouTube video URL, downloads the transcript, summarizes it, and emails you the key action items. This sounds simple, but it demonstrates every layer of the AI native framework: implementation, writing the script, orchestration, connecting the transcription API to the LLM and the email service, and product judgment, formatting the email to be actually useful. When you walk into an interview and explain the architecture of that system, how you handled token limits, how you dealt with failed API calls, you are no longer a junior developer. You are an engineer solving business problems. Finally, you need to prepare for a new type of interview. The whiteboard interview asking you to invert a binary tree is fading. It is being replaced by the system design with AI interview. You might be asked, how would you build a customer support bot that doesn't lie? Your answer cannot just be, I would use OpenAI. You need to draw the boxes. You need to explain, I would use a vector database to retrieve relevant help articles. I would use a strict system prompt to limit the bot's scope. And I would implement a human-in-the-loop fallback for low-confidence answers. This answer shows you understand the risks and the architecture, not just the hype. The shift we have discussed today is inevitable. The data shows the salary gap widening and the job listings for traditional roles shrinking. It is natural to feel anxiety when the ground shifts beneath you. But look at the horizon. For 20 years, software engineering was limited by how fast you could type and how many syntax rules you could memorize. That limit has been removed. The barrier between your idea and a working product has never been thinner. 2026 is not the end of the software engineer. It is the end of the manual software engineer. It is the beginning of the creative architect. The engineers who embrace this, who stop fighting the tools and start orchestrating them, will build things in the next 5 years that would have been impossible for a team of 100 developers to build today. You have the logic, you have the experience. Now you have the ultimate lever. The only question remaining is, will you use it? So here is your immediate next step. Do not just close this video and go back to your Jira backlog. I want you to take one feature you are scheduled to build this week, even a small one, and force yourself to use the AI native framework. Do not write the code manually. Draft the context, design the flow, and act as the reviewer. It will feel slow at first. It will feel uncomfortable. But that discomfort is the feeling of growth. You are building the muscle memory that will define the next decade of your career. Visualize that graph we talked about at the beginning one last time. The bottom line, the traditional path, is flattening out. The top line, the AI-augmented path, is going vertical. Every day you spend learning these orchestration skills is a step onto that top line. On this channel, we are going to navigate this shift together. In the coming weeks, we are doing deep dives into the specific tools you need to master, comparing the best vector, databases, and building real-world RAG pipelines from scratch. We are going to turn that concept pyramid into a practical roadmap you can execute. If you are ready to stop fearing the replacement and start leading the transition, make sure you are subscribed. The tools are ready, the market is waiting, the only variable left in the equation is you. I'll see you in the next video.